First of all, I kind of hinted at this earlier, but one of my core beliefs is that every story matters. And so if you get nothing else from our time together, somebody's listening, watching, I want that person to understand that their story matters. Whether they ever write a book, that's not the point. It's not about it's that every story matters. And I believe that at a really deep level. And that's really what drives a lot of what we do.
Hey, everybody, welcome to my show. My name is Tiffany, and this is Unveiling Journeys. I have an amazing show for you today, as always. And man, this guest is so cool, and I can't wait to share their journey. A little bit about me. I love people. I love getting to know people. I love hearing their story, pulling it out of them sometimes if I have to. But more importantly, I like to go to network meetings and just say, hey, who do you guys need to know? So I can open up the conversation to say, hey, I want to give to you maybe before you hear what it is that I have. And in that, I say, hey, here's my calendar link. Let's hang out for like 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And in that, I can dig more into their story and say, wow, there's people I feel like you should know. But also, I'm going to give you permission to ask all the people maybe you're hanging out with just to say, hey, who do you know that I need to know? It's like asking for a referral, and that's how business, small business, medium business goes round and round, is through the power of referrals. And that's actually how I keep ending up meeting some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life, which is why the podcast was born, because I can no longer contain them and I want everybody who's listening to know them all. So with that, I'm going to welcome Bill to the show today. Thank you so much, Bill, for coming. Thank you for your time. Do me a favor, tell everybody a little bit about you and what you're up to right now.
Awesome, Tiffany. Well, first of all, my pleasure to be here. I mean, I love your passion for people. I share that. So anytime I get a chance to find out about somebody's story and what they're doing, what they're up to, this is like, this is a gift to me, even to have the conversation. So this is great. What do I do? I'm a storyteller. Always have been since an early age. Always have loved stories and storytelling. And so it's what we do is having followed that route and figured out what that is and how I'm wired to do that, really have leaned into that over the last 14, 15 years and have focused in helping people who have a message to share with the world, but are having trouble saying it the right way or putting it into words or turning it into a book or turning it into their brand story or their course or their training programs or whatever the case may be. So working with people like that, people from John Maxwell, Lewis Howes, to people who are just starting out and everywhere in between, and just helping to bring that to life. That's what I'm really passionate about. And that's what I'm really focused on is how do we always keep getting better at that? Connecting with people and helping them believe that their story matters and crafting it in a way that is really brand defining storytelling.
Yeah. You know why I love this is because I didn't realize the things that I'm good at all the
Mm,
time. I just
yeah.
assume people
Yeah.
are also good at. So my number one strength is storytelling. So I'm like, just going to tell this elaborate story. And you should see my mom's eyes roll every morning. I'm like, can I tell you about my dream that I had this morning? She's like, yes, we have time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
to understand that there is someone like you that could take someone's thoughts and tell the story with them, for them, and help them prepare it and practice it to help them come across as what the storytellers of the world are. And that's a phenomenal gift to think that you have that, but you can pass that along to other people,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah.
This is why I want to share with everybody, because there are some people here, they're thinking, wait, there are people that have companies that help people do things I never even knew was a possibility of something that somebody could help you with.
Right.
And this just blows my mind. And that's why I'm like, please, everybody needs to know
Yeah.
Bill.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, you think how many people have read books that they've like, oh, that was good and memorable and helped me, and they didn't realize that someone else came alongside that author to help them create that book in the first
Oh.
place, right?
Yeah,
Right,
I
and
just assume
and
like
so
people
many.
wrote it.
Exactly,
That's
exactly,
true.
and the
Considering how
fact
many
is
like the
that's
authors, ghostwriters
yeah.
I've met, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
they
that's
had
often
help.
not the case, right? That because many authors are speakers or they're entrepreneurs or they do certain things really well, but they're not writers. They don't want to get in. They don't want to be experts in that space. They have other places of expertise. So just tapping into expertise is really what it's about, and finding people who are compatible with them in terms of their values and their message, and that's really what the powerful part of bringing any story to life. How that takes place.
Absolutely. This is so neat. And I've only met a handful, maybe in the last, 42 years of my life that do what you do. And I'm like, I I think that this was a hidden secret that I now
Mm,
need to shout to
mm,
the rooftops about, because if people didn't realize that they have a story deep within them that they want to tell, that they could reach out to someone like you and get
mm,
that out in the open
sure.
and share it or write a book or and all of the above. So
Yeah. Yeah.
let's do this. So I want to tell like your whole story because it's fun. We got to hang out before we recorded today, so I get to hear a lot of it, and I want everyone to know. Let's start from the beginning. Like, where are you from, and what did you think you were going to be growing up, or school, or college? Like, what was that like? First job?
Yeah.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah. Well, let me get in the Wayback Machine here for a second. Yeah, grew up in Northeast Ohio, so kind of part of the Midwest. Great family, suburbia, and again, even as a child, I always loved stories. I was the kid who was always like at breakfast reading the cereal box 5 times, like turning again and again, reading the ingredients, whatever words I could find in there, I'd read them. And I remember I got my first job actually was a paper route. I got a newspaper route at the age of 10. This was back in the day when kids walked around and put papers in people's boxes and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And so I did that for several years, and I read the paper cover to cover like every day. I realized, and it was
No
just
way.
read it. I just read things, and I was such an avid reader as a teenager. I wouldn't read books as much as just absorb them. And I was just my reading comprehension was just off the charts. But here's what I learned is that what you just said a minute ago about storytelling as a gift that you have. I think even as kids, we often have these superpowers. We have these strengths that we don't realize are strengths because they feel normal to us
Right.
and we don't see the power of them. And as we grow older, we fall into this trap of thinking, well, maybe I don't really have any strengths. Maybe I'm not gifted. Maybe I'm nothing special, because it feels normal. I call this the normalcy trap, where it's like we have these unique things or a unique story, and because they don't feel special to us, we don't lean in and capitalize on them. So, when I was growing up, yeah, so first job was paper route. And then I went into the floral business, the floral and garden center business, actually, at the age of 14. Started working for a gentleman who had built the business. And at the time, he was in his mid 80s, I think. And so just it was actually, as I look back now, it was a gift and a pleasure to spend so much time with someone who had walked so far ahead of me and had seen so much of life, and then just started working in that organization and growing with it for the next 10 years. Actually, I was there. So small business, knowing that inside out and backwards, retail,
Yeah.
selling, all that kind of stuff. Um, and then, but I didn't really, I went to my undergrad work. I did English and history, right? So I was still in the ballpark of stories. What are the stories and how do we tell them well? I was just innately leaning into that and trusting that if I did that, good things would come from that, because I kind of detected that this is what I really love to do and what I'm passionate about. Now, I had no idea how to make a living doing it. I just knew that I loved it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good. I mean, at least
So,
you leaned into that and have a degree behind
yeah,
being able to
at
believe
least.
that.
Yeah. I mean, it took me some years. Many years later, I actually took Marcus Buckingham's StrengthsFinder back in, I don't know, early
Yeah.
2000 or something. And what I discovered, if you take it, your top 5 strength themes, if you will. And I discovered there was something called input as a strength theme. And what it means is that you can absorb vast amounts of information quickly and kind of hold it all suspended in mental midair and begin to make connections out of it. And I had always thought that, my ability to read entire books, I could sit and read an entire book in an hour and have a knowledgeable conversation about it, like not a short book, a good sized book. And I just thought, well, anybody can do that if they wanted to. I literally, Tiffany, for many years, I actually thought the problem with people is they're too lazy. That's the problem. They don't want to put in the effort to read it. They don't want to do the work. And I
Yeah.
didn't realize that, no, that's actually because I'm wired to do that exceptionally well.
You're
It's
blowing
not
my
them.
mind right now because input's in my top 5
Yeah.
as well, and I thought the same thing. You're changing my paradigm right now because I thought people just didn't remember or didn't want to, but all of the details
Yeah.
fascinate me to no end that I
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
wait to have them all.
Yeah, yeah. So like now, when I work on a book project, people like, "I'm just warning you, I'm going to throw a lot at you," and I'm like, "That's not a lot. Bring it on."
Please.
Yeah, we can
It's
hold that multiple projects, all that. That's all fine. Um, But anyway, so yeah, so I it continued to move. You know, Stephen Pressfield talks about having what he calls a shadow calling, where it's like something that's close to what you're really called to do, but not quite, but it's close enough that you're kind of in the shadow of the calling. And so eventually I left when I graduated college. Actually, I did 2 years in big box retail with Target, the Target stores, helped open a Target store and worked in all that for a couple of years and realized I'm done with retail. I don't want to do retail again. And so I left that, stepped out to help start a private school. And really from the ground up, is a faith based school, a Christian school. And I was helping to start a college prep school and ended up leading that for the next 12 years, being part
Wow.
of that, becoming the principal, wearing every hat imaginable. And so again, it was close. I was helping other people learn how to tell stories. I was creating curriculum, instructional design, all these kind of things, and doing good work. You know, and I think that was the challenge for me of when you're in doing something that is good work, actually helping people, and people are telling you all the time, wow, we so appreciate you. You're doing such good work. What would we do without you? It becomes very hard to move from that.
Yeah.
Even if in your heart you're like, I don't know, I think I should, but if I do, I'll leave this hole. How can I do that to these people? And so over the course of several years, kind of went back and forth, finally just reached the point where I realized I either have to give up this dream that I have of being a writer, being a storyteller, leaning into that and just do the school because, you know, the reality is kids' lives are at stake when you're in
Mhm.
that situation, you know,
Yeah.
then real things are mattering. Or I need to step away from that and lean into this gifting, this calling, this thing that it feels like it's really purely me. And so I did. I let go of the school and stepped away from the, you know, safe, secure job with
Yeah.
benefits, um, the approval of the community and all that kind of stuff, and stepped away from that. We had 6 kids at the time, and I had completed my MBA program while I was, you know, going through at the school as well. And so we had 6 kids, stepped out from that into the unknown. I still remember the day that I officially ended at the school. My wife had a little side job that she had had, and she was let go of that through other circumstances. And so in one day, our income went to zero, and we were just, all right, we're going in this new direction. We have no money, kids. Here
Gosh.
we go. um, but I think what we did was we enlisted our kids in the journey. We enrolled them in the journey. Like, this is the passion. This is where we're going. And they were like, "Yeah, Dad, let's do it. Let's whatever we can do. Let's help." And so what we didn't realize at the time, and now we see the fruit of it, is we were training them to be to follow their calling, training them to use their innovation and imagination, have the courage to step out and do things that they
Wow.
otherwise might not do.
Yeah.
Um, and so, anyways, that's what brought us even to this place of moving in the direction that I'm now moving.
That was a scary moment, and, like, really, you have to but sometimes when you have nothing, you have no choice but to trust in God for the path that
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
called you for in the first place, so I appreciate that.
yeah.
How
Well,
did this
it
go?
was
Like,
more than
whenever you
yeah,
leapt into the
yeah.
unknown.
Well, it was more than a moment, right? Every day was full of those moments, right? I mean, we were. So when I did that, I never worked harder in my life during that year when I left there. And studying, you know, I talked to publishers and figured out the book space. I talked to anybody who is anybody in the storytelling space and learning from them. I kind of dove in and really studied the art and the science of storytelling and how do I put it all together. Developed many book proposals, shopped in the publishers, got feedback on it. Eventually ended up writing a book of my own, and actually, it happened because I was actually sitting in the backyard one day, trying with a pen and a legal pad, trying to write down my ideas about a book that was actually sort of inspired by the journey I was taking at the time, and putting the idea together. And I remember this day because it still sticks with me. I was sitting there, and you know, outside Ohio springtime, it was the birds are singing, sun's shining, beautiful breeze drifting by. But inside, I was really struggling with what if this doesn't work? Right? What if me and the 6 kids and my wife were in a cardboard box under highway bridge
No.
somewhere. Like, what is that? And I had this visual of this semi truck loaded with steel, like coming down the road right to me as I sat in the middle of the road. It's like coming down right at me with no brakes. And there was like, all right, there's nothing I can do to stop this. And all I feel like is I'm called to write. And that's all I can do. And I just need to do what I'm called to do. And again, as it turned out, the book I was developing that day ended up being picked up by a publisher. And as I wrote that book, I realized I'm really good at this. And then other people started asking me, "Can you help me with my book?" And I started helping them. And one thing led to another. And before you know it, this idea for StoryBuilders, our company, came to life.
Wow.
And then since then, as I said, we've worked with people like John Maxwell, Lewis Howes, Dean Graziosi, Kevin Harrington, all sorts of well-known names, and then all sorts of people who are in the B2B space, who have written books and developed their brand and their brand stories and their courses and workshops and trainings and all these kind of things. And I think here's the takeaway I got from all of that was that, um, you know, breakthrough begins, I think, when we have the courage to start with our story, to lean into who we are in its totality, right? That's a combination of your hardwiring, your life experiences, your failures, your successes, all of it. When have the courage to lean into that and to mine it, if you will, pull out the nuggets and share it with the world, not in a shotgun approach. I'm just going to throw this out to the world and hope somebody listens, but very strategically and focused and building things around that, building businesses around it, building, uh, if it's just getting a message out, building all the message infrastructure around it so it feels sticky and memorable. That when we have the courage to do that, that's where my breakthrough began. And I've had the privilege of multiple New York Times and USA Today best-selling books written with so many different people, and helping other people do the same, bring their messages to life and be that kind of story multiplier that then gets out into the world and makes the world a better place. And that's really what drives us every day in what we do.
Oh, this is so good. I love this and how you're able to have these, like, impactful moments that you're now processing and sharing with other people and bringing them to the next bigger step that they have because they need to contain that into a book, write it down, and then share it with the world because that's buried within them. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good. It's so good. So,
Yeah.
what did this really grow into? Because whenever you help all these people, you're writing courses and books and helping big names and little names, like, being able to go into this is still currently what you're doing, but it's still a lot of work, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we've got a whole team built up around it, right? To help to do that. It is, I don't know. Yes, yeah, I'll say yes and no. Yes, it is a lot of work. I don't want to minimize that. But on the other hand, when you're doing what you love to do, it doesn't feel like work. I mean, I was on a call yesterday with a gentleman and helping him write this incredible new book that's coming out. And for me, it's ideation, it's fun, it's creative, doing all that. Just turned in another book. The manuscript's complete now, and it's going to do so much good to so many people that, when you enjoy the process, it doesn't really feel like work. I don't want to minimize it, right? But it is work, and a lot of effort goes into it. But at the same time, again, when you feel like it's what you're called to do, like you're wired to do this, I mean, you're not only fulfilling who you are, but you're making the world better in the process. And what we're doing is we're fulfilling somebody else's calling and impact on the world. Like, so they have a dream of what that can be accomplished and so forth. And candidly, there's so many different people out there. I was just talking to a gentleman about this recently, where he was trying to decide what path to go, and he's got voices telling him, go this way, go that way. And I said, look, let's be candid with you. Here's what I'm seeing in your situation. I wouldn't go that way. Here's why I wouldn't go that way. Here's why. In fact, I would counterintuitive. I would slow down and get some things in place here so that can position you to go farther, faster in the future. And I think that when we're able to honestly, with integrity, walk alongside people, that's why we call of our we don't even use the word customers or anything like that. We call them story partners, because that's really what they are. We're partnering
Yeah.
with them to bring their story to life, and it just always reminds us of that role that we have in kind of helping them to shepherd what's been put inside of them. So yeah, it's work and it's so much fun. We sometimes forget that it's work.
And this makes so much sense as to why you keep showing up to keep doing this over and over again. Or is there a a different why? Like why do you want to keep going?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple reasons here. One, with my own faith, I think God has called me to this, and so it feels like there's a definitely a divine element that I am fulfilling what I'm here for. On one hand, but I even further than that, it's an element of um, if we didn't do this, like if I didn't do this, if I didn't help people multiply that, I think of how many different stories, how many different messages would either never be told or would be told in a less than great way and have not as much impact. So I guess I'm always trying to think ahead of what does this look like 30 years ahead, 100 years, 1,000 years, 30 million years. So what does that look like? What do we not aspirational like what I'm going to do is so amazing. It's good, but every little thing moves the world in a better way and positions other people. And you just never know. Here's what I've learned is that a book can touch people that you never know and go places that you'll never go.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times my life has been touched by a book I've read. I've never met the author. I've never interacted with them. I had this happen the other day. Mike Michalowicz, or not the other day, last year, Mike Michalowicz, author of Profit First and various books like that. His book Profit First was very helpful for me. But I had never met Mike. It wasn't like he wrote the book with me in mind or something like that. But then we were both speaking at an event last year and we met kind of green roomish environment and hit it off, and I sent him a copy of my book Your Story Advantage, and he sent me a picture of him with the book, and it was like, and I told him how much his book had meant to me and how the impact it had, and it was a reminder to me of when we do things like creating things into books, they go places we never envisioned. I've got so many books on my shelf I could pull off that were written decades ago that have shaped me today, that the author never thought, "I'm writing this for Bill. That's why I'm doing this. This is gonna." They had no idea. Some of the books, I don't even know how they came into my possession. Like, I
Yeah.
don't even somehow they ended up with me and I read them and it's like, "Wow, that was amazing."
This is a good
That's just
book, right? Yeah, I
yeah,
do
yeah,
love those little books that some people are like, "Oh, you have to go do it," or, but it still took me to read it, me to go get it, buy it, check it out from the library, whatever it
sure,
may be, and,
sure.
I still reference so many books, little one-liners, and,
Yeah, yeah.
uh
Well, and that's what I try to do with every single project is make it a book that could transform someone's life in this area in this way, not just let's get words and put them on a page and call it a book, right? It's no, let's make everyone a masterpiece. Brand defining storytelling, something that could be the cornerstone of who you are and your message. If you're a speaker, you're an entrepreneur, you're have a desire to be an influencer in this message or whatever that might look like, there's so many different ways that getting that message clear and putting especially in the form of a book can be so powerful.
yeah. This is so cool, I love this so much. At this point, people are thinking, "Wait, you've written a ton of books, you're putting out content, you're still doing all this with your company. People want to know you. What is your favorite way for people to come find you?"
Well, it depends on what they want to do. If they want to chat, which I'm always up, I love hearing stories. And so, yeah, I would say if anybody's listening and they're like, I wonder if I have a story. The answer is yes. Because, I think we tend to undervalue our stories or we tend to think that our story doesn't have as much value because we deify other people and diminish ourselves. I've just seen that across the board and so many people from the big names to the small names to everybody in between. It's a part of the human condition. We tend to put ourselves down. So if someone's thinking, I don't know, do I not? I'd love to chat with them. And that one's easy. They can just go to mystorybuilders.com/story and just book some time on the calendar. Let's talk. I'd love to hear your story. There's no pressure or anything. I just love stories. But if you want to just connect and follow me, you can find Bill Blankschaen on LinkedIn. You can find StoryBuilders on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, any of those places, or through our website, mystorybuilders.com. Find out more about us as well. But let me give you this for your listeners, Tiffany, because there's some free resources that might be helpful to people. I know we didn't really talk about the art and science of storytelling here, but there's some really good free resources that people can use. And you can get those at mystorybuilders.com and then /free free resources, right? So free resources, mystorybuilders.com, just some free stuff in there that I think could help people in their storytelling and using their story and figuring out their story too.
Oh, that's wonderful. You're so generous. Thank you for putting that on your website and making it available for everybody. Um, I only have a couple more questions left, and really, we've got to share so much of your story, but we've left so much out still at this point. But I want to ask, what's next on the horizon for you?
You know, my answer is going to maybe a little bit odd to some people. The answer is I've really been focused these days on not just getting locked into my plans and really just stepping back and holding open hands, open heart, and kind of asking God, "What are your plans for me, my gifts?" Because I think many times we get so focused on, we're so busy on if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and we don't take the time to actually slow down and be still and even listen to our own thoughts on things. And so that's really what I've been focused on is wanting to lean into that inner voice, if you will, of what does that look like. Of course, continuing to do what we do and improving it every day at a world class level, and really passionate about going to the next step of helping people not only tell their stories well, but actually live a story worth telling. Like,
Mm.
how do you do that? And I think there's so many lessons from the writing, from the storytelling process, and just life wisdom that I've learned through all of it that I know can help people a great deal to kind of live that story. So that's an important element that I'm hoping to develop more and do even more speaking about it, teaching, writing in that direction, as well as helping other people to begin to put some of those thoughts in place too.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that. Tell me, we're gonna wrap up, but what should we leave with everybody? Like your nuggets and golden words of wisdom.
Yeah, well, a couple things. First of all, I kind of hinted at this earlier, but one of my core beliefs is that every story matters. And so, if you get nothing else from our time together, somebody's listening, watching, I want that person to understand that their story matters. Whether they ever write a book, that's not the point. It's not about it's that every story matters. And I believe that at a really deep level, and that's really what drives a lot of what we do. And when that is the case, understand that there is resistance that we all sense to that reality. There's this inner, no, it doesn't. No, I'm not. No, we put ourselves down. I once had lunch with someone in New York City. Actually, if I said their name, everybody would know the name. It's a household name these days. But this person confided in me that, sometimes I walk into boardrooms, that I get paid a lot of money to walk into boardrooms and give my opinions on things. And they said, "But I gotta tell you, sometimes I wonder if they actually care about my thoughts and the message that I'm bringing, or if they just want my last name in the room." And I realized, well, you're struggling with the same thing everybody else struggles
Right.
with, right?
Yeah.
And it's true for all of us that we tend to diminish that. And so I just want people, first of all, don't let that take place. Your story matters. And building on that, then the second thing is that understand that you have a bit of a stewardship of your story. There's a responsibility that goes with having a story worth telling. And you have to understand that your story is about you, but your story is not for you. And so we have a responsibility to take what has happened to us, the lessons we've learned, the experiences we've had, what's impressed on our hearts to share with others, and share that in a way that can actually help other people. Those hard times that you've gone through, the challenges you've faced and overcome, somebody else can benefit from hearing about that and how you've done that, whether in business or life or marriage or whatever the case, whatever that looks like. There are lessons to be drawn and things to be passed on to others. And I think we all have a stewardship in that regard, or a responsibility to steward that well and pass it along in the best possible way to make the greatest impact. Because the reality is, we only get this little glimpse of a story for a little while. And I want to encourage everybody, make the most of your story, live a story worth telling, and then commit to doing something with it, sharing it, sharing it with the world, sharing it with others, however that looks like, whether it be through a book or other ways, or just as you live your life. Like, be willing to be open and vulnerable with your story, And you never know what the impact is going to be when you do that.
So encouraging. You've said such amazing words, of course, as a storyteller, right? To tell everyone today. And I hope everybody really chews on what you've said and lets it simmer. And for some people, it might be like the next movement for them to reach out to you, or some people you've just planted a seed for them to let them know, like, you're right, you know? And so we never know where we're at in that process to be able to pour into people. And I appreciate you being able to listen to that God-given gift and be able to break through the nerves to leave your job, to get to where you're at and grow so much and be available for so many people. And thank you so much for your generosity to give your resources and your calendar for the guests that are listening today to be able to just reach out to you. So everybody that's listening, thank you so much for being able to make it with us this far. And Bill, thank you for your time again today to be able to come on the show.
My
And
pleasure.
I really look forward to being able to see everybody on another show soon. And in the meantime, everybody go have a great day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.